Chapter 1569 Yes. Big Dipper hastily said. Sis Feng, I do. What are you trying to identify? Antiques or jades or jewels? I have some knowledge in this area. Seven Star didn't refute it on this rare occasion. Not only did Big Dipper have some knowledge in this area, but he also spoke a dozen or so languages fluently. Back when the Fearless Alliance was negotiating with factions from other countries, Big Dipper was required to act as the translator for most of them. Then what about paternity testing? Yi Wanwan asked. Yes, I personally test it. Sis Feng, take it out and I can look at it for you. There are too many counterfeits these days. Big Dipper surveyed her. I'm talking about paternity testing, like how you aren't your father's son, that kind of identification. Yi Wanwan sighed. Big Dipper froze in his spot and stared at her in disbelief. I'm not my dad's son? Why? Whose son am I if I'm not my dad's son? Could it be that my mom's hiding something from me? Yi Wanwan involuntarily shivered, looking at Big Dipper. Was this guy pretending to be dumb or seriously dumb? Who in the world does Big Dipper resemble? If you said he resembled Nameless Nya, that'd be an insult to Nameless Nya. Nameless Nya's shrewdness was apparent from his methods of earning money. He was the type that proved the idiom. Great intelligence may appear to be stupidity. As for Big Dipper, Sis Feng is talking about DNA identification like paternity or maternity testing. Seven Star explained dryly to Big Dipper. Oh, that's what you mean. It scared me to death. I don't know about DNA testing. Big Dipper shook his head. But First Elder knows. Good, then call First Elder here. Yi Wanwan waved her hand and had them leave. A moment later, First Elder in his red suit knocked on the door and entered after obtaining Yi Wanwan's permission. You were looking for me, President? First Elder already got a simple explanation from Big Dipper. Yes. Yi Wanwan nodded. Are you experienced in paternity testing, First Elder? First Elder was a bit confused. Why did the President suddenly mention paternity testing? I know a little. I'm not well versed, but I understand it, First Elder replied. All right, understanding is enough. What equipment do you need? Yi Wanwan turned joyful. There was finally someone reliable. An elder of the Fearless Alliance was indeed an elder of the Fearless Alliance. A bowl is enough. It's just the blood drop method. It's simple, First Elder answered. Yi Wanwan's smile froze on her face. Never mind. You can leave, Yi Wanwan said. What freaking century was this? Blood drop testing? Didn't he have any scientific knowledge? Was he still living in ancient times? Haha, no need to be angry, President. I was just joking and lightening the mood. I do need a few advanced machines, but we can get the machines in half a day with the Fearless Alliance's methods, and obtain the results in 2 days at most. First Elder chuckled. Did you have fun being mischievous? All right. You can't allow anyone to learn of this matter, First Elder. Make the preparations. The faster, the better, Yi Wanwan instructed. President, if I may ask, are you suspecting if your father or mother isn't your biological parent? First Elder was brimming with curiosity. Although First Elder's words were true, it wasn't connected to this matter. Don't ask unnecessary questions, Yi Wanwan said. Chapter 1570, Understood. This subordinate will do it now. It'll be very fast. First Elder nodded and quickly left the office. Yi Wanwan sat and lightly knocked on the desk with both hands. Yi Shouting and Yi Mufan were still kept in custody, so she had to be as fast as possible in the next 3 months or so. First Elder was truly efficient in his work. Several essential machines were secretly transported to the Fearless Alliance in half a day, and he took the samples of Worryless Nya and Tang Tang from Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan merely needed to quietly wait a little while before she would get the results. At the same time, outside the Fearless Alliance headquarters, Worryless Nya sat in the car and icily smiled as she looked at the building. Little bitch. Your everything belongs to me, including your life. I'd like to see how miserably you'll die in the Fearless Alliance. Soon, the car door was opened, and the red-gowned socialite from the Shun banquet yesterday said to Worryless Nya, Worryless, just watch. That little bitch will definitely die. Not only does that little bitch want to steal your Tang Tang from you, but she also dared to impersonate the president of the Fearless Alliance. How dare a disgusting rotten worm like her delusionally wish to transform into a phoenix and soar to the heavens? Heh. Worryless Nya chuckled softly. I'll watch your performance then. Alright, Worryless. Does Linglong know? Should we tell Linglong first? The red-gowned socialite asked. Worryless Nya snorted. You think Linglong would look at someone like her? Yes. You're right. I'm feel comforted then. The red-gowned socialite nodded and sashayed toward the Fearless Alliance. Several members of the Fearless Alliance watched as the red-gowned socialite entered the Fearless Alliance's lobby, and one of them asked impatiently, What are you doing? Tell your elders to come out, the red-gowned socialite demanded aloofly. What? The Fearless Alliance member was startled. Do you think you can see our elders just cause you want to? Do you know where you are? Let me tell you, I have some major classified information. Immediately tell your elders to come out and see me or else you won't be able to shoulder the blame, the red-gowned socialite said coldly. Before the Fearless Alliance member could respond, Third Elder Li Si walked into the lobby with a frown. What are you shouting about? Third Elder. This woman says she has major classified information, the Fearless Alliance member reverently said as he immediately received Li Si. Li Si examined the red-gowned socialite. What major classified information? Elder. I'm telling you, your president of the Fearless Alliance is a fake. She's an impersonator. The red-gowned woman walked toward Li Si and swiftly said, She's actually a Chinese woman, and her name is Yi something Wanwan, not by Feng. She's an impersonator pretending to be your esteemed president. Oh. Third Elder sneered. Are you telling the truth? Of course. The red-gowned socialite nodded frantically. I wouldn't have the nerve to joke about a significant matter like this. I can ascertain it's the absolute truth that your president of the Fearless Alliance is an impersonator. However, as soon as the red-gowned socialite finished speaking, a chilly glint flashed through Third Elder's eyes and he lifted his right arm. Before she could react, a ruthless slap landed on her face. Slap. A crisp sound rang. The red-gowned socialite was stunned to her spot, and she stared at Third Elder Li Si in disbelief. Chapter 1571, Missy, I think you ate a bear's hearts and leopard's gall, or else where would you get the guts to slander the Fearless Alliance's president? Li Si coldly looked at the red-gowned socialite. He might have believed it if this was in the past, but ever since the president whipped the ass of Ironhead Gang's boss last time, who would dare to doubt the president's identity? I'm telling you the truth. You must have been deluded by that woman. You mustn't trust her. The red-gowned socialite insisted urgently. Hey, Missy, are you saying we can't even recognize our own president? Third Elder's lips turned up with a cold smile. Before she could respond, Third Elder impatiently waved her hand. Seize her and toss her into the dungeon. I'll report it to the president when she's free, and the president can decide whether to bury her alive or burn her to death. Several members of the Fearless Alliance rushed forward and picked up the red-gowned socialite like they were grabbing a chick. A member couldn't help but shake his head. This woman was seriously suicidal. These past few days, the president had been closer to First Elder, and Third Elder had felt gloomy and wanted to find an outlet to vent. You dare? I'm under Nia Linglong. You dare touch me? The red-gowned socialite was incensed. Who cares if you're under Nia Linglong? Even if you're under the Emperor of Heaven, you'd need to die for slandering President Fearless. Third Elder glanced at her before commanding the members to throw her into the dungeon. After watching the red-gowned socialite slapped by an elder and captured, worryless Nia's smile disappeared instantly. What happened? This didn't match her expectations at all. How did things degenerate to this extent? After worryless Nia thought about it for a moment, a cold glint flashed through her eyes, and she drove away. Yi Wanwan didn't know about this small incident. 2 days later, the results from the DNA test came out, and First Elder entered the office with a report in hand. Upon seeing this, Yi Wanwan quickly made Big Dipper and 7-Star leave before telling First Elder to have a seat. What's the result, First Elder? Yi Wanwan asked. She didn't have any expectations since there was a very minute possibility that worryless Nia was an impersonator, but she needed to inform Yi Shuihan about the result regardless. President, the test results arrived. First Elder gently placed the report on Yi Wanwan's desk. Yi Wanwan skimmed the test report, but couldn't understand it. Tell me the result directly, First Elder, she ordered. All right. First Elder nodded. President, the DNA doesn't match. Yi Wanwan's pupils contracted upon hearing that. The DNA didn't match, meaning? Yes, that means person A and B don't have any blood relations and are two complete strangers. First Elder drank a sip of tea and calmly explained to Yi Wanwan. A raging storm tore through Yi Wanwan's mind. This meant that worryless Nya was truly an impersonator and wasn't Tongtong's biological mother. Are you certain about the result of this report, First Elder? Could there be any errors? Yi Wanwan frowned. She couldn't be careless about this matter since it was related to Tongtong's entire life. President, you're worrying too much. Even if you don't believe in me, you should believe in science. If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. The accuracy is 99.9%, so there couldn't have been any errors. First Elder was convinced. Chapter 1572. In his chair, First Elder languidly sipped from his cup of tea, before looking at Yi Wanwan and chuckling. Don't worry, President. The test report is 100% accurate and doesn't have any errors for sure. Yi Wanwan didn't doubt what First Elder said. It was just that she didn't expect the current worryless Nya to really be an impersonator. All right, I understand. Don't mention this matter to anyone. Yi Wanwan instructed First Elder. First Elder stood up and nodded. No worries, President. I understand the things I should and shouldn't say. After saying that, he turned around and left the office. Yi Wanwan's brows locked together as she stared at the report in her hand. She didn't expect a task from Yi Shuihan to elicit a torrential storm. Yi Wanwan soon left the Fearless Alliance and drove to Yi Shuihan's house. Yi Shuihan, Yi Wanwan called out as she knocked on the door. A moment later, the door was opened. Yi Shuihan was wearing pajamas and sleepily looking at Yi Wanwan. Knight-errant Yi, I have results from the matter you had me investigate last time, she quickly said. Come inside first. Yi Shuihan turned to head back inside the house. Close the door after you enter. After entering the living room, Yi Shuihan sat on the sofa and turned on the TV. Yi Wanwan's lips twitched when she saw the TV screen. It was a cartoon. What are the results? Yi Shuihan asked without looking away from the TV. Not good, Knight-errant Yi. The second miss at the Nya family right now isn't the real one. She's a fake, Yi Wanwan swiftly replied. Okay. Yi Shuihan nodded indifferently. We'll talk later. Let me finish watching this part first. Can't you act more concerned? Is the cartoon that fun to watch? Although Yi Wanwan thought that, she didn't dare to voice anything and could only wait for Yi Shuihan to finish watching his cartoon. In this fashion, half an hour passed. Yi Shuihan looked a bit disappointed as he pressed the remote and turned off the TV. What are the results? What did you say? Yi Shuihan turned to Yi Wanwan and asked. Damn you. Knight-errant Yi, the situation is bad. Second Miss Nya, Tongtong's mother, is an impersonator. She's a fake. Yi Wanwan was forced to repeat. How do you know? Yi Shuihan questioned. Yi Wanwan looked bewildered. Didn't you tell me to look into it? Oh, I was just casually mentioning it back then. Do you have proof? Yi Shuihan was expressionless. Yes. Yi Wanwan walked forward and handed the test result to him. He accepted the report and inspected it for a moment before saying, I can't understand it. Tell me. This is Tang Tang and Worryless Nya's maternity test result. Their DNA doesn't match, and they don't have any blood relations. Yi Wanwan explained. That's strange then. All the testing centers in the independent state produced identical test results, but it changed when you did it. Yi Shuihan was pensive. I have a friend who owns a small lab, the private kind. I had him test it. The results are 100% accurate, Knight-errant Yi, Yi Wanwan said. Understood. Thanks for the trouble. He nodded at her. Chapter 1573. Yi Wanwan smiled. Everything would be resolved easily with Yi Shuihan's input. However, She stood next to the sofa and waited for half a day, but there was no continuation. Knight-errant, what's the next step? Yi Wanwan asked voluntarily as she couldn't bear it anymore. Next step. Ishuehan looked baffled. The next step depends on you. What? Yi Wanwan was stunned. Ishuehan wasn't going to do anything? Knight-errant, it was you who made me investigate. Now that we discovered something, you aren't going to do anything? It was you who planted the tree, so now you have to pick the fruits yourself. Aside from matters concerning the ancient clans, I won't interfere in any conflicts between any of the factions in the independent state, let alone family problems. Think of a solution yourself. Ishuehan yawned. Could you be any more freaking deceptive? Yi Wanwan swore that if it weren't for the fact that she couldn't beat him, she would definitely club his head. He asked her to do the work, but did nothing himself. How was he fitting to be Tongtong's master? I'm tired. Want to take a nap together? Ishuehan lay back on the sofa and covered himself with a blanket as he asked Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan sighed. Forget it, I'll go and resolve this matter first. Help me close the door when you leave, he instructed upon seeing her leave. Close it your ass. Of course, Knight-errant. Yi Wanwan was beaming as she gently closed the door. After returning to the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wanwan summoned Big Dipper and 7-Star to her office. Currently, those two were the only people Yi Wanwan trusted inside the Fearless Alliance. After she told them the whole story, they were astonished and stunned. Big Dipper, if you tell other people about this matter, you don't need to come to work tomorrow. Yi Wanwan seriously stared at Big Dipper. Yi Wanwan was a bit uncertain about Big Dipper's loose lips, but she did still trust him about this kind of situation. Sis Feng, how could you say that? I know what's important and not. I wouldn't tell anyone even if my life was threatened. Big Dipper hastily protested. Sis Feng, this is an extremely important matter to the Nye family, but it's unrelated to the Fearless Alliance. However, if you tell the truth to the Nye family, they would definitely be grateful to the Fearless Alliance. It is a feasible option, 7-Star said after a moment of thought. Bullshit. Big Dipper frowned. This matter definitely isn't as simple as it appears, Sis Feng. The Nye family is one of the 4 great clans in the independent state. If there wasn't someone powerful behind the impersonator, how could she have deceived the Nye family? Additionally, many of the test centers in the independent state gave the result that the impersonator is indeed the second miss of the Nye family, which shows how terrifying the power behind her is. You brought your brain to work today? Yi Wanwan looked at Big Dipper, surprised that he even managed to make that conclusion. Sister Worryless, listen to me first. Our Fearless Alliance doesn't have an amicable relationship with the Nye family to begin with, and you tricked the Nye family quite a lot in the past. So why would they believe the Fearless Alliance's president? Instead, they probably think the Fearless Alliance is sowing dissension and stirring trouble. Also, we'd definitely alert the enemies and cause the fake worryless Nye to become cautious. If that happens, it'd be harder to expose her than ascending to the heavens, Big Dipper analyzed. Yi Wanwan nodded, amazed at Big Dipper's performance today. She felt like her son finally grew up. Sis Feng, Big Dipper's right. I didn't think it over thoroughly enough before, 7-Star said. Chapter 1574. Then how do you think we can expose the impersonator? Yi Wanwan asked. Sis Feng, the Nye parents love the current worryless Nye very dearly. We'd only enrage the Nye family if we told them rashly, and they might even act antagonistically toward the Fearless Alliance, so that's not feasible. Also, you know worryless Nye is an impersonator, but she isn't aware and on guard yet, so we have many opportunities and don't need to act impatiently, Big Dipper said. Yi Wanwan didn't refute him. Her identity was a bit awkward indeed. If she used her identity as the president of the Fearless Alliance, she would probably be kicked out of the Nye residence. If she used her identity as Yi Wanwan, her relationship with Tang Tang was somewhat special, and Madame Nye might think she had an ulterior motive for wanting to monopolize Tang Tang and kick away worryless Nye if she told Madame Nye rashly. This consequence would be more severe. Yi Wanwan originally wanted to inform nameless Nye first, but erased that thought upon further contemplation. She was confident nameless Nye would definitely believe her with their relationship, but he would also definitely cause a ruckus at home with his personality. At that time, if the Nye family learned she was the instigator, not only would it be useless, but it'd also produce the opposite of the desired result. Nameless Nye's personality was too explosive, and there were too many uncertain factors. It would be difficult even if she ordered him to expose the fake worryless Nye according to her excuse. President. Third elder pushed open the door and entered the room. There was a woman yesterday who came to the Fearless Alliance and claimed you were an impersonator. She also said she was connected to the Nye family, but I've imprisoned her in the dungeon. Should we kill her? Oh. Yi Wanwan was pensive when she heard that. The only people who knew her identity from the Shen family's banquet were Nye Linglong and the fake worryless Nye, which meant this incident had to be related to those two. They wanted her to die. Unfortunately, the current Fearless Alliance was completely under her control. Yi Wanwan seriously suspected she might really be the president of the Fearless Alliance by phone. Otherwise, why would the Fearless Alliance believe in her so much? Of course, she still needed to go to Scarlet Flame's Academy and have its headmaster help her, and see if she could recover her memory. Just keep her guarded in the dungeon for now, no need to kill her yet, Yi Wanwan said after thinking about it. The woman who came to expose her identity was either instructed by Nye Linglong, or the fake worryless Nye. All right. Li Si nodded. I need to go out and take care of something. Call me if anything comes up. Yi Wanwan stood up and left the Fearless Alliance. Sometime in the afternoon, Yi Wanwan arrived at the Nye residence. In the living room, Madame Nye had a dark expression on her face as she said, Yi Wanwan is actually the president of the Fearless Alliance. She actually deceived me. Mom, I already told you. How could someone like her have any good intentions for coming to the Nye residence? Thank goodness we discovered in time, or else something big would have definitely happened. Worryless Nye sighed and said, Sister Worryless, let it go. Maybe Yi Wanwan didn't have any bad intentions, and merely wanted to see Tang Tang, Nye Linglong said. Linglong, you're still young. People like her are demons. Don't you know President Fearless' reputation in the independent state? Worryless Nye retorted with a frown. Nye Linglong sighed and didn't say anything else. At this time, Yi Wanwan had arrived outside the living room and saw Madame Nye's dark expression from a distance. Yi Wanwan didn't even need to think to know that those two informed Madame Nye about her identity as President Fearless. Chapter 1575. The Fearless Alliance provoked the Nye family many years ago, so the Nye family immensely disliked the Fearless Alliance, especially her, the president. Yi Wanwan's lips turned up. Since they wanted to play, she would stay till the end. The fake worryless Nye was absolutely connected with Nye Linglong. Yi Wanwan heard that it was Nye Linglong who first discovered news of the impersonator and revealed the information to the Nye family. Yi Wanwan entered the room. As soon as she appeared, the three women in the living room turned to Yi Wanwan. Worryless Nye smiled. Madame Nye now knew this woman was President Fearless. It must be wonderful to be kicked out of the Nye family by her own mother. Madame Nye was about to speak with a dark expression when Yi Wanwan suddenly walked toward Madame Nye and pitifully said, Auntie. Sorry. The exact reason I came here today was to tell Auntie Nye that I have another identity aside from Yi Wanwan. Worryless Nye furrowed her brows. What did this woman want to do? What identity? Madame Nye stared at Yi Wanwan. President Fearless, Yi Wanwan sighed. Madame Nye was obviously taken aback by her answer. Auntie, you should know that I once disappeared for a period of time. I got tired of the violent life, so I left the independent state and went to China. It's just that something happened at the Fearless Alliance recently, so I came back. In the independent state, it was Tang Tang who provided me with the warmth of a family, something that I never experienced before. It was especially so after I met you, Auntie, and you treated me so nicely. Back then, I was young and ignorant and offended the Nye family, so I didn't dare to tell you, Auntie, in fear of you disliking me, when you wanted to adopt me as a foster daughter last time. It was also because of this reason that I didn't dare to tell you the truth. I was afraid you'd hate me later. Yi Wanwan acted like a little girl who did something wrong and was afraid her mother would punish her. Madame Nia's dark expression eased quite a bit after hearing Yi Wanwan's explanation. Worryless Nia stared intently at Yi Wanwan. This woman seriously knows how to act. You're saying you lied to me because you were afraid I'd blame you? Madame Nia asked as she looked at Yi Wanwan. Yes. That's why, Auntie. If you don't believe me, you can ask Brother Nameless. He knows my identity since I never wanted to purposefully deceive you, Auntie. Yi Wanwan said. Call your brother here. Madame Nia told Worryless Nia. Before Worryless Nia could reply, Nameless Nia just happened to pass by the living room and interjected. Mom, why are you looking for your darling son? Did you want to give me pocket money? I have a question for you. Did you know she's President Fearless? Madame Nia asked. Huh? President Fearless? Nameless Nia was startled and looked at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan blinked at him meaningfully. I knew. Of course I knew. Nameless Nia nodded frantically. If you knew, why didn't you tell me? Madame Nia's brows knitted together. I was afraid you'd be unhappy, Mom. Nameless Nia answered honestly. All right, you can leave. Madame Nia flicked her hand. Okay. Nameless Nia arrived bewildered and departed bewildered. Sorry that I lied to you, Auntie. I'll leave now, and won't appear in front of you again. Yi Wanwan slowly stood up. Wait. Madame Nia stopped her. Chapter 1576. Yi Wanwan turned her head and pitifully looked at Madame Nia. Worryless Nia. As expression darkened. This woman seriously knew how to put on an act in front of Madame Nia. What Worryless Nia found hardest to accept was that Madame Nia appeared to be wavering already. Did she really believe this woman's bullshit? Madame Nia's tone softened a little and sounded like an older relative talking to a younger relative. If you are, you are. If you aren't, you aren't. Your auntie isn't some narrow-minded and petty woman. You were merely in your teens when you provoked the Nia family back then. Your auntie acted wilder than you when I was your age. What's there to hide? Auntie Nia, I'm sorry. Yi Wanwan sighed softly. Are you really sorry? Madame Nia asked with a slight frown. This girl's pitiful look made her heart ache for some reason, and a lot of her previous anger was pacified. Bro Flattop, the president of the Fearless Alliance, a devil-like woman who had a notorious reputation in the independent state, was acting like a little girl who did something wrong in front of her. By Feng, the Fearless Alliance and the Nia family did have some animosities in the past, but thinking about it now, it's been many years now. We'll let bygones be bygones. Madame Nia said a moment later. Happiness flooded onto Yi Wanwan's face, and she immediately asked, Then are you still angry, Auntie Nia? After a moment of contemplation, Madame Nia said, I'll forgive you this time. Nia Linglong icily looked at Yi Wanwan but didn't say anything. Mom, Worryless Nia, walked forward and stopped next to Madame Nia. Mom, do you seriously believe this woman? She intentionally concealed her identity and approached the Nia family. She must have some secret she's hiding. Madame Nia looked at Worryless Nia and said, Worryless, Bai Feng didn't truly conceal her identity. Your brother knew her identity. Worryless Nia ground her teeth in anger. Madame Nia was still furious earlier, but now spoke on this woman's behalf after listening to her nonsense. A frightening, cold glint sparkled in Worryless Nia's eyes. Did this woman think she was fine now? She would definitely make Madame Nia personally kick this woman out. By phone, Madame Nia called. Auntie Nia, keep calling me Wanwan. I'm more accustomed to that. Yi Wanwan said with a smile. All right. Wanwan, did you consider what I mentioned last time about adopting you as my foster daughter? Madame Nia asked. Yi Wanwan was surprised. She didn't expect Madame Nia to want to adopt her as a foster daughter as soon as she pacified her anger. It wasn't difficult for Yi Wanwan to tell that Madame Nia truly liked her. Mom, how could you be so rash? She's President Fearless. Back then, the Fearless Alliance wasn't friendly toward the Nia family. She's President Fearless, so she must have ulterior motives for approaching the Nia family. Worryless Nia hastily said upon hearing Madame Nia's words. Worryless, Madame Nia looked at her daughter and asked with a frown, What's going on with you? I know what I'm doing. Chapter 1577. Worryless Nia clenched her fists and kept her emotions in check, trying to calm herself. Mom, I'm just worried. Auntie, let's forget it then. Don't harm your relationship with Worryless just because of me. I'm just an outsider after all. Yuanwan sounded as though she had suffered an indescribable grievance. Yuanwan imperceptibly glanced at Worryless Nia. Does this impersonator really consider herself as the Miss Worryless of the Nia family and Tong Tong's biological mother? I, the professional impersonator, can outplay her any day. Since you want to play, it's only fun if you keep going. Otherwise, what's the point? Madame Nia appeared a little exasperated. Look at Wanwan compared to her own daughter. Worryless Nia? Worryless Nia's maternal grandfather took her with him from the Nia family when she was young. So Madame Nia didn't see Worryless many times, but her memories of Worryless' direct and frank personality was as clear as day. However, after she grew up, her personality gradually changed, and she became increasingly immature and inconsiderate. Madame Nia owed her daughter too much though, so she couldn't bear to lecture her daughter about it. Idiot! Nia Linglong sneered inwardly with an aloof glance at Worryless Nia. You're being led by your nose, but you still don't realize. Mom, I was wrong earlier, but I'm just worried since she's President Fearless. I don't want other people to successfully scheme against the Nia family. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but don't be angry at me, Mom. Worryless Nia discovered something amiss and immediately switched direction. And it's fine. Spend more time with Wanwan in the future. It was Wanwan who helped you look after Tang Tang for a period of time in China, and you need to know how to be grateful as a person, Madame Nia said. Yes. Mom, you're right. I understand. Worryless Nia nodded, then coldly glanced at Wanwan. Wanwan, it's final then. I'll have someone prepare the ceremony. Madame Nia said to Wanwan with a smile. Auntie Nia, I'm the president of the Fearless Alliance. If you adopt me as your foster daughter, I'm afraid. Wanwan's face was brimming with worry. Madame Nia merely shook her head. You're the right and proper president of the Fearless Alliance. What would I lose to adopt you as my foster daughter? Moreover, you're using your identity as Wanwan to acknowledge me as your foster mother, so it's unrelated to Bai Feng. All right. Thank you, Auntie. Wanwan nodded in the end. For some reason, Wanwan didn't want to reject Madame Nia at all, and instinctively wanted to be close to her. Soon the Nia estate steward finished preparing tea and handed a cup to Wanwan. Madame Nia sat in the upper chief seat while Nameless Nia, Nia Linglong, and Worryless Nia stood on the side. Wanwan walked toward Madame Nia with the cup of tea in hand. Then she knelt in front of Madame Nia and used both hands to hold up the tea. Auntie Nia, please drink some tea. Why are you still calling me Auntie? Madame Nia sounded displeased. Miss Wanwan, the mother recognition ceremony is done, so you should refer to Madam as Mother, the Nia estate steward said to Wanwan with a light chuckle. Mom. Wanwan called softly. Great. Madame Nia accepted the cup of tea and drank it in one go. Then she took out a big red envelope and handed it to Wanwan. Nameless Nia's eyes brightened upon seeing the red envelope. Wanwan, you're a child of the Nia family from now on. The Nia family doesn't have many rules, but you must remember one thing, Madame Nia said with a solemn expression. Chapter 1578. What is it, Mom? I'll definitely follow it carefully. Wanwan nodded. You mustn't give a single cent to Nameless Nia, Madame Nia said. Wanwan, Nameless Nia. Your eldest brother once swore that he wouldn't use a single cent from the Nia family ever again. If he does, the whole family will die, and the Nia family has always regarded oaths with utmost importance. Do you understand? Madame Nia explained. Yes, I understand. Wanwan nodded. This rule seriously suited her liking too much. Mom, how about I renounce my parent-child relationship with you and Dad? Then we won't be a family anymore. What do you think of my idea, Mom? Nameless Nia asked hastily. Scram. Madame Nia became incensed instantly. I was just joking. Why do you take it seriously? Nameless Nia chuckled awkwardly and swiftly zipped his mouth. He Wanwan, we're family from now on. Worryless Nia said to Wanwan with a light chuckle as she suddenly walked forward. Yes, worryless, we're family from now on. If I offended you in any way before, please forgive me. Yuanwan returned with a chuckle of her own. Since she accepted Madame Nia as her foster mother now, she could be considered half a child of the Nia family, and didn't lack opportunities to inform the Nia family of the truth. However, this woman wasn't dumb and knew when to advance and retreat. After leaving the living room, nameless Nia quickly chased after Yuanwan. He intently stared at her as he asked, "My good sister, how much money is in the red envelope my mom gave you?" Yuanwan started and glanced at him. "What do you want?" "My good sister, I'm your older brother now, and we're family. You should share some with me." Nameless Nia beamed with an ingratiating smile. "No. Mom said I'm a member of the Nia family now and can't give a single cent to you." Yuanwan briskly declined. "What are you saying? Isn't your surname Yi still? Your surname isn't Nia. So even if my whole family dies, yours won't. You wouldn't lose anything." Nameless Nia retorted with a smile. Yuanwan thought over it for a minute before looking at Nameless Nia and saying, "I would lose money." After getting rid of Nameless Nia, Yuanwan went to the guest's bedroom. At Worryless Nia's adamant insistence tonight, Yuanwan was given a room of her own and didn't stay with Tang Tang. Tang Tang originally dissented, but Yuanwan told him to agree. If Tang Tang really made a fuss about it, the impersonator would act pitiful and cry about being innocent, which would then cause Madame Nia to think it was her fault for sowing dissent between Tang Tang and the impersonator's relationship. The impersonator's silent retaliation had begun, but Yuanwan didn't care. They had ample time, and what she said earlier still held true. If the impersonator wanted to play, then she'd play with her. She just hoped the impersonator wouldn't cower. In the wee hours of the morning, maybe due to switching to a new bed, Yuanwan found herself suffering from insomnia. Yuanwan grew increasingly curious about her own identity. Just who am I? She possessed a vague familiarity about many of the places in the independent state, as though she had been there before. Can I really be a resident of the independent state? Right now, Lord Azura still wouldn't admit he was Si Yihan, and Yuanwan couldn't do anything about it or obtain the truth from him. The days since her arrival in the independent state were like a dream. What was more unfathomable was what she did after getting drunk last time that caused the entire Fearless Alliance to lose all suspicion and stop doubting her identity as Bro Flattop. It was truly food for thought. If she wasn't President Fearless, there was no way the Fearless Alliance would submit to her with their personality and style. Chapter 1579. 1579. What kind of extremely cruel person was Third Elderly Si? He was someone who could kill his own son, but now held her in high esteem. He didn't look disloyal to her on the surface and acknowledged her wholeheartedly based on her observations. Both First Elder and Second Elder also treated her with respect, and would even joke with her occasionally. All of this struck Yuanwan with disbelief. Just who am I? Could I really have been President Fearless, Bro Flattop, before I lost my memory? A moment later, Yuanwan called Big Dipper. "Sis Feng, why are you calling me so late? Do you need something?" Big Dipper answered instantly. "Where are you?" Yuanwan asked. "I'm at the hospital to visit my mom," Big Dipper replied. "At the hospital visiting your mom?" Yuanwan was startled. "Yeah. Didn't I say earlier? My mom was hit by a car and is at the hospital," Big Dipper said. Yuanwan facepalmed. So Big Dipper's mother really was hit by a car? She always thought Big Dipper's words were full of smoke and didn't contain a lick of truth. Now it looked like she misjudged him. However, it really wasn't her fault. Everything Big Dipper said didn't sound like the truth. "Big Dipper, I'm writing an autobiography right now. But there are some details I can't remember clearly. I wanted to ask you whether you remember how many years it's been since I left the independent state?" Yuanwan asked. "For years," Big Dipper replied frankly. "Sis Feng, you're writing an autobiography? Put me in there." "For years," Yuanwan murmured. Then she immediately hung up the phone without giving Big Dipper a chance to continue prattling on. Yuanwan vaguely remembered that it was also 4 years ago that the second miss of the Nia family, Worryless Nia, disappeared. Did that mean Worryless Nia and Bro Flattop disappeared at the same time? Could it be Worryless Nia was Bro Flattop? Yi Wanwan's expression shifted. If I'm bro flat top, then I. However, as soon as that thought surfaced, it was squashed instantly. It was utterly unrealistic. If worryless Nia really was bro flat top, how could Madame Nia, nameless Nia, and the rest of Nia family not know about it? Furthermore, bro flat top wreaked havoc for the Nia family back then too. There were simply too many coincidences. Yi Wanwan felt like her mind wasn't enough to process everything. She couldn't make an accurate judgment on whether she was bro flat top or not. I hope the headmaster of Scarlet Flames Academy can help me recover my memory. Yi Wanwan murmured with a soft sigh. Everything was a futile effort right now. The truth would only be revealed if she recovered her memory. And her only hope to regain her memory was Scarlet Flames Academy. Aside from that, Yi Wanwan decided she should make a trip to China soon. It wasn't advantageous to drag out Yi shouting and Yi Mufan's situation for too long. Moreover, she now had control over the Fearless Alliance. If she could bring some people from the Fearless Alliance back to China, the mutiny in the Xi family could be easily resolved. As for Yi Yi and her cohorts, they should clean their necks and wait for her. Yi Wanwan came to a decision. After heading to Scarlet Flames Academy and enrolling as a new student, she could return to China. The night passed without a sound. Next morning, in her sleepy state, Yi Wanwan vaguely heard her phone ring and reflexively answered the call. Morning. A gentle voice was emitted from the phone. Ji Xiran. Yi Wanwan shot up immediately, all trace of drowsiness dispersing. Xiao Feng, you should go to Scarlet Flames Academy and report there, Ji Xiran said softly. Chapter 1580. Go to Scarlet Flames Academy and report there? Yi Wanwan was startled. She originally thought she still had some time, and didn't expect the time to come so fast. Yes. Ji Xiran's light chuckle was heard through the phone. Go there sooner to avoid unnecessary complications. Unnecessary complications? Yi Wanwan was speechless. Did she look like someone who liked to cause unnecessary complications? Alright, I understand. Is there anything else? She asked. Don't forget to bring the recommendation letter I gave you. And take more experts from the Fearless Alliance with you. The areas around the 3 great academies aren't too peaceful. If you don't find it troublesome, I can have Skeleton escort you. Ji Xiran instructed her gently. Yi Wanwan automatically shook her head and hastily said, No need for the trouble. I can gather some people when I'm back at the Fearless Alliance. Okay. Contact me at any time if a problem arises. Then Ji Xiran hung up. Yi Wanwan fell back onto her pillow and slept for a bit more. When she woke up again, she washed up and greeted Madame Nia good morning. However, she didn't mention she was going to enroll at Scarlet Flames Academy later. The 3 great academies of the independent state were a bit particular in that they maintained a neutral position. They didn't offend any party, but could offend any party at the same time. The 3 great academies accepted mercenary missions from any country, including assassinating the heads of the 4 great clans. Even Emperor Ji and Lord Azura had their names featured in the charts of the 3 great academies. Aside from assassination missions, there were also many bizarre and peculiar missions. Yi Wanwan even heard a Fearless Alliance higher-up mentioning that someone from a mercenary academy wanted a strand of Lord Azura's hair. The mission had been posted for many years, but no one could finish it, so this mission had been raised to S+ level. None of the factions in the independent state liked the mercenary academies, but no one would offend them either. If Yi Wanwan informed Madame Nia that she was heading to Scarlet Flames Academy, Madame Nia would probably object, so it would be better to just not mention it. After leaving the Nia residence, Yi Wanwan drove back to the Fearless Alliance. It was only after arriving at the Fearless Alliance that Yi Wanwan realized Big Dipper sent her a text telling her he was taking a day off to keep his mother company at the hospital. Yi Wanwan didn't mind. She took out her makeup and started messing with her face in front of a mirror inside the office. About an hour later, Yi Wanwan nodded with satisfaction at her image in the mirror. This was perfect. Her makeup guaranteed that even her real parents wouldn't recognize who she was. This chapter is scrapped from Read Light Novel. Org Sisfong. The office door was opened, and 7 Star entered expressionlessly while carrying a stack of documents. As soon as Yuanwan turned around, 7-Star was taken back. The duo blankly stared at each other in silence. Who are you? 7-Star took a step forward, and his figure arrived in front of Yuanwan with a cold glint in his eyes like a ghost. An extremely ugly woman actually sneaked into the office of the Fearless Alliance's president. However, Yuanwan was immensely satisfied by 7-Star's reaction. It appeared her makeup wasn't bad indeed. Even 7-Star didn't recognize her. What are you panicking about? Yuanwan asked with a frown. 7-Star's right hand, which was reaching for Yuanwan, froze in midair. He didn't recognize the face, but the voice was very familiar. Sis Feng. Disbelief and shock were shooting out of 7-Star's eyes as she stared at the ugly-looking Yuanwan. Chapter 1581. Yes, it's me. Yuanwan nodded. Sis Feng, what are you? After confirming Yuanwan's identity, 7-Star became more shocked. Why does she suddenly look like this? You really can't recognize me with this makeup on? Yuanwan asked with a smile. 7-Star shook his head. Sis Feng, this is makeup? I thought it was the art of disguise. Yuanwan laughed. Some women's superior makeup skills were no different from the art of disguise anyway. Sis Feng, you look like you changed heads, 7-Star said after a moment of thought. This is called changing face. Yuanwan glanced at 7-Star. 7-Star. Place the documents on the desk, then call First Elder and Third Elder here, she instructed. All right. 7-Star nodded and did as she asked before leaving the office. A moment later, First Elder and Third Elder entered Yuanwan's office at the same time, both afraid they'd fall behind the other person. Press. Third Elder was about to call but became stunned when he saw Yuanwan's hideous makeup. He darkly shouted, Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Fearless Alliance's territory? What's the panic? Yuanwan glanced at Third Elder. Don't you recognize me? President. Third Elder was flabbergasted upon hearing Yuanwan's voice. This woman is the president of our Fearless Alliance. Why did she switch heads? I'm about to head to Scarlet Flame's Academy. Accompany me there, but you can leave after dropping me off at Scarlet Flame's Academy, Yuanwan said. First Elder and Third Elder were both higher-ups of the Fearless Alliance, and rarely made public appearances, nor did they have any interactions with the three great academies. They were unlike 7-Star and Big Dipper, who were active members in the independent state and easily recognized. President, why are you going to Scarlet Flame's Academy? First Elder looked at Yuanwan with incomprehension. To go undercover, Yuanwan answered. As the president of the Fearless Alliance, she naturally couldn't tell the elders that she was going to enroll in Scarlet Flame's Academy as a student. How disgraceful would that be? However, if she said she was going undercover, it sounded all right. First Elder and Third Elder met each other's eyes. I recently heard that someone issued a mission at Scarlet Flame's Academy asking for my head, so I'm using my current appearance to enroll at Scarlet Flame's Academy as a student for a semester. I'll locate the person who issued that mission and eliminate them and their family. Yuanwan made up an excuse. First Elder smiled. No wonder. This was something our President Fearless would do. I see. Third Elder was pensive. Who was so suicidal, and just had to offend their president? Come over here, you two. I'll also do your makeup, Yuanwan said to First Elder and Third Elder. President, we rarely appear publicly in the independent state. The people from Scarlet Flame's Academy probably won't recognize us, so we don't need any makeup, First Elder said. Quiet. Sit here, Yuanwan commanded with a frown. It would be better to do their makeup for safety reasons. If they were recognized, how would she, President Fearless, get by in the independent state in the future? First Elder and Third Elder sighed helplessly. Since resistance was futile, they could only behave and allow Yuanwan to do whatever she pleased. After a round of fumbling, Yuanwan nodded with satisfaction as she examined the two elders' makeup. They looked like they had aged a decade or so. After finishing the preparations, First Elder summoned an elite member of the Fearless Alliance. This member was in his 60s but looked spirited and vigorous and had superb martial art skills. Chapter 1582 President, when the time comes, we won't enter the academy in case we're recognized. To avoid suspicion, he will lead you inside the academy. President, First Elder explained. All right. Yi Wanwan said. Greetings, Madam President. The elderly man was bursting with excitement when he saw Yi Wanwan. This ugly-looking woman standing in front of him was the boss of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flattop. No need for politeness, Yi Wanwan said with a smile. Thank you, President. The elderly man nodded frantically. Soon, the group of 4 left the Fearless Alliance and drove to Scarlet Flames Academy. President, a student from Scarlet Flames Academy tried to assassinate piece of shit earlier, but I heard there's no news of them anymore. First Elder informed Yi Wanwan inside the car. Assassinate piece of shit? Yi Wanwan wore a strange expression. Which student was so suicidal and accepted this kind of suicidal mission? They had no one to blame but themselves. Since there was no news, Ishuehan probably took care of him. Ishuehan wasn't easy prey after all. The 3 great academies were all mercenary academies and didn't target any specific person or group. They would accept any mission that was suitable, and their students would be responsible for completing them. However, there were some super difficult missions that most people normally wouldn't accept. For example, obtaining a strand of hair from Lord Azura or obtaining a ring from Emperor Ji. In the case of a mission like obtaining Ishuihan's life, only idiots or suicidal people would accept it. Otherwise, no mercenary would accept that kind of mission. Half a day later, Third Elder drove the car to the base of a mountain. Scarlet Flames Academy, one of the 3 great mercenary academies, was located at the top of the mountain and prohibited the entry of cars. Any visitor had to enter the academy by foot. As people said when in Rome, do as the Romans do. They had no choice but to leave the car. This journey wasn't too peaceful, just like Ji Shiran said. There was an extremely large amount of students participating in the entry examination this year, and Yi Wanwan witnessed many intense fights that erupted for no reason. However, their journey was still fairly peaceful and smooth. You two can leave. Yi Wanwan flicked her hand at First Elder and Third Elder. President will escort you up the mountain. Third Elder was all smiles. No need. Leave. Yi Wanwan declined. Third Elder. Did they suffer such geriatric-looking makeup and a long and intense journey just to chat with the president in the car and keep her from being bored? No way would the 2 elders realize that their president took them with her merely in fear of accidents happening during the journey, thus needing them as bodyguards. Since they safely arrived at the destination, it was naturally time for the 2 elders to leave. And so First Elder and Third Elder were forced to leave. The elite member of the Fearless Alliance was kept back though. The people participating in Scarlet Flames Academy's examination were typically composed of the younger generation of major factions, and normally needed to have clansmen with them. Even normal people needed to bring family members with them. This was because Scarlet Flames Academy needed to figure out the family situations of enrolling students in case no family members came to pick up the corpses if students failed their missions and were killed. Elderly sir, what's your name? Yi Wanwan asked with a soft chuckle as she looked at the elite member standing next to her servilely. President, you're overwhelming me. Please call me Little Lu. The elderly man answered with trepidation. An elderly man, who is obviously in his 60s, is calling himself Little Lu. I really can't say it out loud. Chapter 1583. How about you pretend to be my grandfather, and I'll pretend to be your granddaughter? Yi Wanwan asked him with a smile. President, that'd be inappropriate. This subordinate wouldn't dare. The elderly man frantically shook his head. Calling the president fearless his granddaughter? Was that a joke? You should know about Scarlet Flames Academy. If you don't pretend to be my grandfather, how can I sneak in and go undercover as a student? The elderly man visibly struggled for a moment before finally nodding. Then, all right. But you must pardon me for my disrespect, President. It's no offense, no offense. I'll give you an extra drumstick and add a merit to your file when we get back, Yi Wanwan said with a smile. Okay. The elderly man nodded lightly. Soon Yi Wanwan and the elderly man started hiking up the mountain. On the way there, There were many young men and women from the major and minor clans in the independent state, appearing like a tide and rushing up the mountain. Elder Lu, is that you? A cheerful voice was heard from behind them. The elderly man looked behind him. President Fearless, this is an elder from a patrician family located near the Fearless Alliance's territory. The elderly man, Elder Lu, quietly informed Yi Wanwan. The new elder soon arrived in front of them with a young man and woman behind him. Elder Lu, this is? The elder looked at Yi Wanwan. My granddaughter. Elder Lu answered aloofly. Oh, you actually have a granddaughter? Didn't your son die many years ago? I thought your Lu family bloodline was extinct. However, if she's only your granddaughter, it's the same as your line going extinct, the elderly man said with an airy chuckle. Elder Lu's expression shifted, but he didn't want to say anything, not wanting to cause unnecessary complications. Elder Lu, look at how thin and fragile your granddaughter is. Why did you let her come to Scarlet Flame's Academy to enroll? I reckon she'll die in a mission eventually, so you should take her home now. The elderly man continued with a smile. That's none of your business, Elder Lu said coldly. Haha, I was just being kind. Forget it if you're ungrateful. Say your martial arts are mediocre, so your granddaughter's martial arts must also be very average. Scarlet Flame's Academy is one of the 3 great mercenary academies in the independent state, so their entry requirements are very strict. I don't think your granddaughter can even pass the first round of examinations. Even if she passes, she won't turn out to be much in the future, so why don't you have her follow your path and enter the Fearless Alliance? After she becomes a member of the Fearless Alliance, it wouldn't be a problem for her to just scrape together a living until she dies. The elderly man guffawed. After the young man and woman behind the elderly man glanced at Yi Wanwan, contempt filled their faces, and they both shook their heads while chuckling. This girl was incredibly ugly. What could she use to get into Scarlet Flames? Was she going to use her face to scare the examiners to death? Thank you for your concern, Elder Lu said placidly. Haha, Elder Lu, don't be so distant. Look at my grandson and granddaughter, the elderly man introduced with a smile. And not bad. Elder Lu was expressionless. Why aren't you greeting Elder Lu? The elderly man looked at his grandchildren. Hello, Elder Lu. The young man and woman greeted him simultaneously with a smile. Elder Lu nodded in response. All right, Elder Lu, enough small talk for now. The elderly man started leading his grandchildren up the mountain. I'm going to die from laughter. How could someone with looks like her show herself in public without any shame? What an eyesore. A young woman snorted behind the elderly man. There are seriously all kinds of peculiarities in this world. What kind of place does she think Scarlet Flame's Academy is? How can some random nobody have the guts to come and enroll? And she even wants to become a student at Scarlet Flame's Academy? How preposterous. The young man also sneered. Chapter 1584. The two people didn't speak loudly, but Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu could hear them clearly from behind them. Elder Lu turned to Yi Wanwan with a frown. Presumptuous, they're seriously too insolent. How dare they treat you like this? Yi Wanwan merely smiled without a care. Right now, she didn't come to enroll in Scarlet Flame's Academy as the president of the Fearless Alliance. She was just a normal person, so she didn't need to worry about those people's words. Let's go, Yi Wanwan suggested quietly. All right. Elder Lu nodded. Since the president herself didn't say anything, he naturally wouldn't comment further. The flood of young men and women coming to Scarlet Flame's Academy to enroll continued to gush into the mountain in increasing amounts. Scarlet Flame's Academy had very strict student recruitment standards. Amongst these thousands of youths who came to enroll, only a handful would end up being chosen by the Academy. The status and reputation of mercenaries were extremely high in the independent state, but the type of mercenary academy they graduated from was still important. The independent state had countless mercenary academies, but only the 3 great academies, e.g. Scarlet Flames, had the most worth. Yi Wanwan was rather curious about the mercenary system, but her main objective for coming to Scarlet Flame's Academy this time was to approach its headmaster and hope the headmaster could help her. Aside from seeing if she could recover her memory, Yi Wanwan had no other wishes. About an hour and a half later, Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu reached the top of the mountain. The peak was home to Scarlet Flames Academy's headquarters. As far as the eye could see, vast and imposing were the only descriptions its visitors could conjure up. However, ahead of them, Scarlet Flames Academy's grand, towering gates were tightly shut. There were dozens of elders and higher-ups of patrician families with their groups behind them waiting in front of the gates. Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu soon joined the crowd. Amongst the crowd, Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu appeared a bit peculiar. Yi Wanwan's ugly, heavy makeup was especially eye-catching. Does anyone and everyone seriously dare to come to Scarlet Flames Academy nowadays? A beautiful woman glanced at Yi Wanwan and snorted. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. Was her ugliness that fresh and unconventional? Or was she carrying a hatred-attracting halo, and everybody was compelled to ridicule her? If she had known earlier, she would have just transformed into a man. Scarlet Flames Academy isn't a place someone like you can enter. Roll back to wherever you came from, and don't sully Scarlet Flames Academy's doors. The beautiful woman coldly said to Yi Wanwan. Insolence. Elder Lu grew furious immediately. Girl, do you know this is? Yi Wanwan lightly shook her head at Elder Lu before he could finish speaking. Her identity as the president of the Fearless Alliance absolutely couldn't be divulged, unless it was a last resort. Otherwise, if Scarlet Flames Academy discovered she was the president of the Fearless Alliance, it would be useless even if she had recommendation letters from Yi Shuihan, or the president of the Martial Arts Union, let alone Ji Xiuran. The three great mercenary academies often used the Fearless Alliance as a negative example in lessons for their students. They had completely demonized Bai Feng as though she was the queen of devils in the independent state, and attached extremely nefarious and evil labels to her. What? Know what about this little delinquent? The beautiful woman glanced at Elder Lu and snorted. Before the woman could finish speaking, a man in a black suit standing behind the woman coldly interjected. Don't argue with other people. Chapter 1585. Young Master. What right does someone like her have to enter the Mercenary Academy? When you become a student here in the future, how could you be classmates with someone like her? The woman quietly protested. The man expressionlessly glanced at the woman. So you think just anyone can pass Scarlet Flames Academy's severe examination? Of course not. Even you weren't accepted by Scarlet Flames Academy last year, young master. The woman hastily replied. Haha, even young Master Wang was rejected by Scarlet Flames Academy last year, so how could a delinquent like her get in? What kind of place is Scarlet Flames Academy? One of the holy sites of mercenaries. Thousands of people come here to undergo the examination each year, but how many are actually chosen? A rotund man inputted with a snicker. The beautiful woman immediately looked at Yi Wanwan with disgust. No status, no background, but a delinquent like you delusionally wants to enter Scarlet Flames Academy? What a joke. However, coming to Scarlet Flames Academy to have your eyes open should be enough for you to brag about for the rest of your life. Yi Wanwan shook her head inwardly. Was this woman an idiot? Why was she acting like a rabid dog? For someone like her, Yi Wanwan couldn't even muster a tinge of desire to respond to her, let alone argue with her. Strange, why are Scarlet Flames Academy's gates closed? At this moment, more young men and women arrived at the peak, and were shocked by the sight of the closed Scarlet Flames Academy. A lot of people who came to take the exam entered already, so why did we get barred outside? Did we miss the time slot? Some people looked anxious. President, wait here a moment. I'll go and ask. Elder Lu respectfully said to Yi Wanwan. Sure. Yi Wanwan nodded. Elder Lu swiftly walked toward the academy. Registration for this year has concluded already. Come back next year. A plainly dressed middle-aged man aloofly said as he walked out from the academy, when he saw Elder Lu looking around in front of the gates. It's done. Everyone was taken back. That's right. The middle-aged man said, Scarlet Flames Academy's recruitment has a time limit every year, and you've missed the time slot already. If you want to register, come back next year. How could that be? The beautiful woman from earlier marched forward. Our young master is the eldest young master of the Wang family. You must allow our young master to enter. The middle-aged man from Scarlet Flame's Academy glanced at the woman detachedly. Are you joking with me? Don't be rude. The man, the aforementioned eldest young master, hastily walked forward and admonished the beautiful woman. Young Master Wang turned to the middle-aged man. I've come 2 years in a row already. Could you show some leniency and give me an opportunity to enter and register? Come back next year. The middle-aged man's face chilled a tad. Did this man and woman fail to understand human speech? The man frowned deeply but didn't dare to say anything else. Young master, forget it. Since Scarlet Flame's Academy is so unreasonable, let's go to another mercenary academy. It's not like they're the only academy. It's their loss for rejecting you, young master. The woman coldly shouted. Don't talk nonsense. The man glanced at the woman. Many young men and women, who were turned away outside the door because they were late, immediately turned to look at young Master Wang and his maidservant. Chapter 1586. This young Master Wang's maidservant was rather brassy, willing to talk back to someone from Scarlet Flame's Academy. Elder Lu hastily went up and smiled at the middle-aged man. Can you be a little flexible? My granddaughter traveled from afar and suffered a difficult journey to come up here. You missed the time, so you have to wait until next year, the middle-aged man said. But my granddaughter is super strong. Scarlet Flame's Academy would obtain a treasure if you accepted her. Elder Lu ardently pressed. What a joke. She's the president of the Fearless Alliance. Scarlet Flame's Academy really won't accept someone like her? Just because she didn't make it in time? When Elder Lu said that, a lot of the people around them broke into laughter. This elderly man is rather confident. Where did he get his courage? Even young Master Wang was rejected because he missed the time, let alone someone without status or background like her. Haha, elderly man, do you really know what kind of place Scarlet Flame's Academy is? It's a holy site for mercenaries. A place where you need to kill people or get killed. It's not a school for learning normal subjects. Did you bring your granddaughter to the wrong place, elderly man? I think both this old man and his granddaughter are ignorant. They most likely thought Scarlet Flame's Academy was a normal school. Old geezer, mercenary academies are where you issue assassinations or dangerous missions. Get it straight first. Even someone on young Master Wang's level could only consider themselves unlucky for missing the time, let alone your granddaughter. The beautiful woman contemptuously glanced at Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu. Take a look at yourself first. Even our young master can't enter, yet you want to enter? You're trash at the bottom of the food chain. Yi Wanwan didn't even look at the woman, and walked straight toward the middle-aged man from Scarlet Flame's Academy. Hello. Yi Wanwan softly greeted. No matter what you say, it's futile, the middle-aged man returned impatiently. It's okay. Yi Wanwan took out Ji Xiran's recommendation letter and handed it to him. The middle-aged man furrowed his brows. What? You want to bribe me? Well, it's not quite a bribe. How about you take a look first? Maybe you'll let me enter after you see it. Yi Wanwan replied with a smile. She didn't know whether Ji Xiran's recommendation letter would prove useful, but she was just making a Hail Mary effort. The best scenario would be being allowed entry. If she wasn't, she would just have to return home. Soon, the middle-aged man opened the recommendation letter. A few breaths later, his expression abruptly changed. Shock surfaced in his eyes. This was a recommendation letter from Emperor Ji. Emperor Ji's personal seal was sitting at the bottom, so there couldn't be any mistake about it. This horrendously ugly woman in front of him was actually personally recommended by Emperor Ji. Furthermore, based on the letter's contents, Emperor Ji attached great importance to her. There were many instructors, even higher-ups, in Scarlet Flame's Academy who had an immensely close relationship with Emperor Ji in the profit chain. Since Emperor Ji personally recommended her, it would be difficult to not do her this favor. A misunderstanding. The middle-aged man clapped Yi Wanwan on her left shoulder. Miss, come. You and your grandpa can follow me inside. The sneer on every spectator's face froze, and disbelief rushed out. Thank you. This won't affect Scarlet Flame's Academy's rules, right? Yi Wanwan asked as she nodded. Chapter 1587 No. How could it affect Scarlet Flame's Academy's rules? Rules are dead, but people are alive, the middle-aged man said. Elder Lu beamed. Bro Flat Top is truly worthy of being our president. What Scarlet Flame's Academy? They still have to give her face. Under everyone's stunned gazes, the middle-aged man personally opened the gates for Yi Wanwan and allowed Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu inside. Why is she allowed to enter? The beautiful woman screamed angrily at the middle-aged man as she watched Yi Wanwan enter the academy. What? Do you have an objection? The middle-aged man coldly asked. Of course I do. Why did you allow trash like her to enter but not my young master? The woman scoffed. The middle-aged man glanced at the woman. Hey, miss, I reckon even your young master can't compare to a toe on that, miss, let alone you. Can't compare to a toe of that woman? He's joking, right? Young master, this guard must have accepted a bribe from that bottom-tier trash. The woman indignantly complained to young Master Wang. Everyone looked pensive upon hearing that, almost believing her. That'd be the only way this would make sense, right? Otherwise, why was that woman allowed to enter? Insolence. A chilly glint flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes, and he took out his work ID card from his pocket. When everyone saw the ID card, shock overcame their faces. Damn! An instructor from Scarlet Flame's Academy. An instructor from Scarlet Flame's Academy would accept bribes? What kind of joke is that? Who is capable of bribing an instructor? My God! Just who is that ugly woman? She looks mediocre and ordinary. Could the Scarlet Flame's instructor really be right? Even young Master Wang can't compare to a toe on that woman? That's too absurd, right? Heh, anyone with a mind can see that woman's identity must be special in order to force an instructor from Scarlet Flame's Academy to allow her inside to register even if he had to break his own rules. Where did young Master Wang's maidservant get the courage to provoke her? She seriously wouldn't even know how she died. Damn, that servant girl's words were so horrible earlier, but she didn't even look at her. Thinking about it now, that woman wasn't afraid of the Wang family, right? She completely ignored them. The difference in their levels was probably too dramatic, so that woman couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. The beautiful woman's face was so dark that ink could drip from it as she maliciously exclaimed, "She's just bottom-tier trash. What status could she possibly have?" The instructor of Scarlet Flame's Academy looked at the woman. "Miss, you have to have some manners and education even as a maidservant. Your head is full of air. Don't let your ignorance harm you and young Master Wang. I reckon you nearly caused the Wang family's destruction today. Your entire Wang family is less than a dog's fart in the eyes of that woman you keep calling ugly. You should thank the heavens that she treated you like air." Then the instructor snorted and opened the gates again before languidly entering. With a bang, the gates were closed again. How is that possible? The woman was akin to a deflated balloon. Tut tut tut. That ugly woman must be some fearsome big shot. I've only seen a dog growl at a lion, but I've never seen a lion growl at a dog. That saying is perfect for this. Chapter 1588. 1588 Ha ha, young Master Wang, this maidservant must have served you quite well. Since you brought her to this kind of place? However, you need to assess the situation first. Your Wang family will encounter a tragic fate if you offend someone you can't afford to offend. Young Master. The woman turned to young Master Wang, wanting to say something, but was greeted by a ruthless backhand from him. Young Master Wang's expression was dark. Just who in the world was that woman just now? Could she really bring catastrophe to the Wang family? Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu entered Scarlet Flame's Academy. There were some differences between the academy and universities in China. The atmosphere was more intense. 1,000 or so young men and women who came to register were standing in the courtyard. Yi Wanwan followed the instructor into the crowd. These 1,000 or so people were separated into 10 groups that contained about 100 people. Each group headed toward different directions. Due to arriving with an instructor from Scarlet Flames, Yi Wanwan was placed into the first group. Soon, while following the lead of a Scarlet Flames instructor, Yi Wanwan and her group arrived at a large plaza. Most of the people in the first group were the children of prestigious patrician families in the independent state, and knew each other to a certain extent. "Look!" someone shouted, causing everyone to reflexively look behind them. A tall and slender young woman with good looks was slowly walking toward them. Mengke, the pearl of the Meng family's patriarch. The Meng family. Damn, that's some background. I heard Mengke was a martial arts genius, and successfully finished a mission that was comparable to an A-level mission before becoming a mercenary. Mengke joined the group and nodded slightly at the Scarlet Flame's instructor. Yi Wanwan surveyed her surroundings. It had to be said that Scarlet Flame's academy lived up to its name. Many of the people registering came from reputable backgrounds, and were supposedly very talented too. Haha, Elder Lu, you seriously didn't give up and really brought your granddaughter here? Before Yi Wanwan could think anymore, the elder who ridiculed Elder Lu earlier sauntered toward them with his 2 grandchildren behind him. Elder Lu impatiently glanced at the elder, disinclined to waste his words. He didn't know what this old man was flaunting about. Elder Lu secretly snorted. If this old man knew his granddaughter was the president of the Fearless Alliance, would he still act so cocky? Quite a number of young men had surrounded Meng Ku already, acting like perfect flower guardians. "Silence," the Scarlet Flame's instructor said as he walked to the front. "There are many seats in the plaza. Find a place to sit." Everyone, including Meng Ku, located a seat and sat down. Soon they all received an exam. This was the most basic exam. If they failed the exam, they would be evicted from Scarlet Flame's academy immediately. Yi Wanwan was bewildered as she stared at the contents of the exam. In the eyes of mercenaries, every faction was ranked, including the ancient clans, for great clans, the Fearless Alliance, etc. Aside from accurately labeling each faction's rank, there was also a lot of details about mercenary missions. "I don't understand anything." Yi Wanwan involuntarily face-bombed. She didn't do her homework. "You don't need to take it. Follow me." The Scarlet Flame's academy instructor walked to Yi Wanwan's side, and took Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu out of the plaza. Chapter 1589. A moment later, Yi Wanwan and Elder Lu arrived at the registration spot for Scarlet Flame's academy. "What's your name?" an elderly man asked Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan thought for a moment and replied, "Yi Wanwan. And you?" The elderly man turned to Elder Lu. "Lu Dicheng." Elder Lu answered with a smile. "She's your granddaughter?" The elderly man was surprised. Yes, she's my granddaughter." Elder Lu nodded. "Your name is Lu Dicheng and her name is Yi Wanwan, but she's your granddaughter?" The elderly man frowned. This child's father died when she was young, and her mother remarried, so her surname changed to Yi like her mother's. Elder Lu lied without blinking an eye. "All right." The elderly man had no choice but to accept this explanation. "Yi Wanwan, since you were personally recommended by Emperor Ji, you don't need to participate in the examination. You will be a new student of Scarlet Flame's academy and a deranked mercenary. This is your uniform and mercenary ID." The elderly man handed the items to Yi Wanwan. "Thank you." Yi Wanwan smiled. It had to be said that Ji Shiran's reputation was rather useful. "Have the instructor lead you to your dorm room. Also, we've registered your family now, so your grandfather can leave," the elderly man instructed. After sending Elder Lu off, Yi Wanwan followed the Scarlet Flame's instructor to her dorm room. "Haha, Yi Wanwan, what's your relationship with Emperor Ji?" the Scarlet Flame's instructor asked on their way there. "We're friends," Yi Wanwan answered. "And if you have time, help me do some referrals. I have a few good trades on my hand that Emperor Ji might be interested in. You know how us low-ranked instructors have a low income," the instructor said with a chuckle. "And I'll definitely refer you when I have a chance next time, instructor." As they conversed, they passed by the mansion quarters. "Aren't these living conditions too good?" Yi Wanwan was surprised. Did all Scarlet Flame's academy students live in mansions? "That's right. We're one of the 3 great mercenary academies after all," the instructor replied. Which mansion do I live in then?" Yi Wanwan was inexplicably expectant. Your ranking isn't high enough yet. These are all for mercenary students at a rank or above," the instructor said with a smile. I got happy for nothing. Soon, the instructor led Yuanwan to the dormitory quarters. They entered a shabby room with a simple and crude interior and 10 to 20 beds. Pick whichever bed you want, the instructor said. Us new students live here? Yuanwan was shocked. She freaking wanted to live in the mansion quarters. Even if her rank wasn't high enough, couldn't she at least have a single room? Not new students. It's the D-rank mercenaries who all live in this type of dormitory. Your dormitory is quite decent already. At least you have an electric fan. Yuanwan had no choice but to randomly choose a bed and place her luggage on it. Wait. Why are there men's shoes here? Yuanwan shouted. Oh, that's normal. Bunkhouses are all mixed-gender living. The instructor answered matter-of-factly. Mixed-gender living. Isn't this too unsafe and inconvenient? Yuanwan frowned deeply. The instructor examined Yuanwan for a moment before chuckling. Actually, you're rather safe. What I mean is that all mercenary academies are like this. Absolutely no accidents will happen. Your missions in the future will be more arduous. This is nothing. You should get used to it. Chapter 1590. Yuanwan swore to the lamp that she'd immediately, this instant, become a high-ranking mercenary and live in big mansions and villas. Wanwan, this is only temporary. You were personally recommended by Emperor Ji, so I believe it's only a matter of time before you become a high-ranking mercenary with your strength. At that time, you can live in a mansion, and high-level mercenaries like S-rank are also assigned a steward, servants, and training partner, along with a mansion, the instructor said enigmatically. I'm going to become an S-rank mercenary. How do I become a high-ranked mercenary? By finishing mercenary missions. Scarlet Flames Academy has a mission posting spot that issues missions from SS rank to D rank, and the higher the rank of the mission you finish and the more missions you finish, the faster you raise your rank, the instructor explained. The instructor didn't wait for her to respond and continued. You should familiarize yourself with your surroundings first. I'll take my leave now. You can come find me in the instructor's office if you have any questions. Then the instructor left. Yuanwan didn't linger either, and exited the room. Yuanwan saw a lot of young men and women with different colored uniforms as she walked through campus. Yuanwan was a D-rank mercenary, so she was wearing a gray student uniform. S-rank mercenaries wore gold. A ranks wore black. B ranks wore white. C ranks wore yellow, while D ranks like Yuanwan wore gray. Yuanwan couldn't help but sigh at the distinct hierarchy inside mercenary academies. It was like a pyramid, and you had to use your strength to trade for anything you wanted to obtain. It was the most primitive rule and practice. However, Yuanwan still hadn't seen a single student wearing a gold uniform, and only saw one A-rank mercenary. Soon she arrived at the mission issuance area. There was a sea of people composed of mostly yellow-uniformed C-rank mercenaries and D-rank mercenaries, with only a few mercenaries higher than C rank. No one sent any odd looks at Yuanwan's ugly appearance. Junior sister, are you new here? While Yuanwan felt a bit lost, a gentle-sounding youth asked her with a smile. The youth wore a yellow uniform, which meant he was a C-rank mercenary. Yeah, Yuanwan replied. All right, junior sister, I'm Han Yun. Let me introduce this place to you. We're at the missions area, where there are mercenary missions from SS rank to D rank. D rank missions are fairly simple, while missions above D rank have a risk of losing your life if you fail. I suggest you start with a D rank mission to get used to things, junior sister, the youth Han Yun said. Thank you. I understand. Yuanwan smiled gratefully at Han Yun. Then she turned to examine the mission board. SS rank mission. Destroy the Fearless Alliance and obtain 10,000 mercenary honor points. S+ rank mission. Escort a token and obtain 7,000 mercenary honor points. A rank mission. Head to China and destroy the defected mercenary group. Obtain 5,000 mercenary honor points. S rank mission. Obtain a personal ring belonging to Emperor Ji and obtain 10,000 mercenary honor points. S rank mission. Obtain a strand of hair from Lord Azura and obtain 10,000 mercenary honor points. Yuanwan was dazed by the missions posted on the bulletin board and felt a little dizzy. What the heck were the missions requiring you to obtain Emperor Ji's ring and Lord Azura's hair about? How could they be S-rank missions and cause you to lose your life? Would they believe she could obtain those anytime she wanted? Yi Wanwan was extremely curious about who issued a mission as strange as obtaining a strand of Lord Azura's hair, and why it still wasn't revoked yet. Chapter 1591. Yi Wanwan laughed as soon as she kept looking down. A. Defeat Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance. Need video for proof. A. Defeat 7-star from the Fearless Alliance. Need video for proof. A. Defeat an elite member of the Fearless Alliance. Need video for proof. S. Steal something special from the Fearless Alliance's headquarters. S. Teach a lesson to any elder from the Fearless Alliance. Yi Wanwan couldn't stop laughing. These were the supposedly extremely dangerous missions. Junior sister. Han Yin frowned. Don't tell me you're interested in A-rank and even S-rank missions? Kind of. Yi Wanwan smiled. Quite a few gazes from nearby students shot toward them when they overheard Yi Wanwan and Han Yun's conversation. A junior sister who just entered Scarlet Flame's academy actually said she was interested in S-rank and A-rank missions. Even if she wanted to die, she shouldn't do that. Even if A-rank mercenaries accepted A-rank missions, they still had an extremely high chance of failing and needed to operate in a team. S-rank missions probably needed a fully fleshed team. You needed to have a strategy on top of your martial arts skills, so it was nearly impossible to accomplish those by yourself. Junior, you should understand the concept of S-rank and A-rank before deciding. Don't be in a rush to die, a man said to Yi Wanwan expressionlessly. Yi Wanwan didn't mind the man's seemingly rude words since she was currently only a D-rank mercenary, so this man was probably advising her out of kindness. Yi Wanwan glanced at the other S-rank and A-rank missions. Those were the true suicidal ones she didn't dare to accept, but the ones like beating Big Dipper, they were practically missions tailored for her, alright. Aside from that, the mission in China suited her a lot too. Yi Wanwan happened to want to find a chance to return to China after enrolling in Scarlet Flame's academy. If she accepted a mission to destroy the defected mercenaries in China, she'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone. However, she couldn't easily accept it until she figured out the number and rank of the defected mercenaries. Junior sister, you should look at the D-rank missions first. Those high-ranking missions are seriously really dangerous. Even formidable senior brothers who form teams to accomplish them might end up totally annihilated. Han Yin cautioned her again. New students were usually ignorant, so it wasn't their first time encountering this type of situation. There were arrogant new students every year who thought they were invincible in the world and accepted some extremely dangerous missions. There was once a D-rank mercenary who accepted a SSS rank mission, and then there was no more. And then that D-rank mercenary never returned. No worries, senior brother. I know myself, Yi Wanwan said. All right. Also, if you plan to start accepting missions, junior sister, you can tell me. I can accompany you on some so that they're safer. Han Yin smiled. Yi Wanwan couldn't help but take a few more looks at the youth. This youth was quite considerate and compassionate. A moment later, she turned back to the mission board. There were quite a few S-rank and A-rank missions she could accept and accomplish for sure. As for the A-rank mission in China, she would accept it if possible since she needed to return to China soon. Before Yi Wanwan could ponder about it anymore, the instructor from earlier appeared next to her. Why are you here? The new student's examination is finished, and they need to be assigned classes. Follow me, the instructor said to Yi Wanwan. Chapter 1592. Yi Wanwan nodded. She had no choice but to leave the mission post for now. Yi Wanwan followed the instructor to a hall. There was an elderly man in brocade robes standing inside the hall. Elder Gong, this is Yi Wanwan. The instructor introduced her to the elderly man with a smile. The elderly man, Elder Gong, aloofly surveyed Yi Wanwan and nodded. You're the one recommended by Emperor Ji Shiran, Elder Gong stated. Yes. Yi Wanwan nodded and answered honestly. I have a friendship with Ji Shiran. Since you were personally recommended by Ji Shiran, I'll accept you as a disciple in name. Elder Gong said indifferently. Haha, Elder Gong is one of the 4 elders at Scarlet Flames Academy, Yuanwan. The fact that you can become Elder Gong's disciple in name, it's really. The instructor marveled. Yuanwan. What's going on? Disciple in name? But I didn't say I wanted to become his disciple. Why did I randomly get accepted as someone's disciple? Yuanwan naturally knew the implications of being a disciple in name. It wasn't official and was solely in name. I hope you can train hard from now on and won't disgrace me. Elder Gong sighed and waved his hand, instructing the Scarlet Flames instructor to escort Yuanwan out. Yuanwan remained baffled after leaving the hall. Yuanwan, you should be thankful that you were recommended by Emperor Ji, and that Elder Gong was friends with Emperor Ji some years ago. You just entered Scarlet Flames Academy, but are able to place your name under Elder Gong already. This is truly rare. Some of Elder Gong's personal disciples are mercenaries at S rank or higher. The instructor quietly said to Yuanwan. Yuanwan. I didn't want to become his disciple. I didn't do anything. However, Elder Gong is an aloof and proud person. Although he's one of the 4 elders, his personal disciples have always been suppressed by another elder's disciples, the instructor added. That's a pity. Yuanwan nodded. An elderly man at his age and status mostly focused his energy on his personal disciples, so he definitely wouldn't feel good that his disciples were being suppressed by another person's disciples. But what did this have to do with her? Elder Gong once had a disciple who was a famous character, and once created many records at Scarlet Flames Academy, but they disappeared afterward. Elder Gong has been searching for his missing disciple all these years, but still hasn't found them. The instructor sighed. Who is that awesome? Yuanwan was curious. Why are you asking so many questions? You just enrolled. You'll definitely find out later on, the instructor said. After some walking, Yuanwan and the Scarlet Flames Academy instructor entered a classroom in the corner of the academy. This classroom was the D-rank mercenary class, and the place for D-rank mercenaries to learn basic mercenary knowledge. You'll be in this class from now on. I need to inform you though, you might have been recommended by Emperor Ji, but you still have to abide by the rules at Scarlet Flames Academy. Don't cause trouble, especially since you're a new student, or else even Emperor Ji and Elder Gong can't save you. The instructor warned before leaving without looking back. Yuanwan stared after him for a moment before looking away, and ambling into the D-rank mercenary classroom. As soon as Yuanwan entered the classroom, she discovered more than 100 people inside who were all sitting in their own seats and a middle-aged person on the podium, who was probably this class instructor. Chapter 1593. When Yuanwan entered the classroom, the middle-aged man at the podium instantly turned to her. You just enrolled. Why are you late already? The middle-aged man frowned. Remember to be on time next time. Yes. Yuanwan could only nod and agree. The middle-aged man immediately had her sit in her designated seat. The middle-aged man's lessons were merely about the division of factions in the independent state, the dangers of differently ranked missions, and the use of mercenary honor points. Every time you finished a mission, you would obtain mercenary honor points which could help raise your mercenary rank on top of other uses. Yuanwan listened carefully. She had been in the independent state for a long time, but she hadn't heard about the strict ranking hierarchy there until coming to Scarlet Flames Academy. For example, if the Fearless Alliance was ranked by stars, it would be a 5-star faction, while Emperor Ji and Azura would be considered 6-star factions. As for the ancient clans and the martial arts union, they could perhaps be elevated to 7 stars. After the lesson concluded, Yuanwan returned to her dormitory. A moment later, many strange men and women poured into the room like a tidal wave. Yuanwan glanced at them. There were about 12 people, half male and half female. Shit, that scared the hell out of me. One of the young men exclaimed in shock after seeing Yuanwan on her bed. Junior sister, isn't your heavy makeup too frightening? The other D-rank mercenaries questioned. Yuanwan smiled faintly but didn't reply. There was only one old mercenary student in this dorm room, and the rest were new students. Yuanwan listened to everyone's introductions. Most of them were children from the independent state's patrician families. Junior sister, what's your name? The man named Li Xian asked Yuanwan. Yuanwan. Yuanwan answered truthfully. Yuanwan? Isn't your grandpa's surname Liu? The man and woman in the neighboring bed looked perplexed. This duo were no strangers. Their grandfather was the elder who made cutting remarks toward elder Liu earlier that day. The older brother was Zhou Tao and the younger sister was Zhou Fu. My mom's surname is Yi, Yuanwan replied. Yuanwan, I remember your grandfather is a member of the Fearless Alliance, right? The Fearless Alliance isn't anything good. You should advise your grandfather to leave the Fearless Alliance ASAP, Zhou Tao said. Brother, her grandfather is so old. He'd probably starve to death if he left the Fearless Alliance, and he still has such an ugly granddaughter to raise. Zhou Fu snorted. Before Yi Wanwan could speak, Li Xian furrowed his brows. Aren't you too freaking rude? What the hell does her looks have to do with you? Do you think you're good looking? Where does your superiority come from, huh, ugly woman? What did you say? Zhou Fu was enraged instantly and glared at Li Xian. What? You want to hit me? My older brother is a C-rank mercenary at this school. Why don't you and your brother try hitting me? Come. Hit me on the head. Do I need to find a brick for you? Li Xian was radiating arrogance. Forget it. Ignore this kind of person. Zhou Tao interjected with a furrow of his brows. Zhou Fu harshly glared at Li Xian, but didn't say anything more. A C-rank mercenary wasn't someone they could afford to offend right now. Enough arguing. We're living with each other from now on, and might have to leave our lives in each other's protection one day. What's there to argue about? Admonished the only senior mercenary in the dorm room. Following his scolding, everyone else stayed silent. Chapter 1594. 1594 Senior Brother, you've been at Scarlet Flames Academy for 2 years now. Why are you still a D-rank mercenary? Li Xian asked inquisitively. The man shook his head and sighed. The missions are too difficult and hard to do. I can't trudge my way up. What's difficult about them? I've been at Scarlet Flames for 3 months now and have finished 4 D-rank missions already. One of the D-rank missions was freaking dangerous. I had to assassinate a son from a patrician family, and nearly didn't make it back. Thank goodness I ran fast, Li Xian bragged. D-rank mission? A beautiful woman snorted. That's nothing. I accepted a S-rank mission 2 months ago. Everyone, including Yi Wanwan, turned to the woman. And then? Yi Wanwan was brimming with curiosity. And then? The woman smiled at Yi Wanwan with a tinge of embarrassment. And then I gave up. Yi Wanwan. Are you joking with us? If you really finished a S-rank mission, you probably wouldn't be living here with us right now. Li Xian shook his head. Then he mysteriously asked everyone, have you seen the SS rank mission on the mission board yet? I saw it. It's eradicating the Fearless Alliance. What universal joke is that? Who is the Fearless Alliance? Their danger rating is 10 points, and Bro Flattop is a demoness in the independent state. I heard she eats people. Exactly. Last time, the boss of Ironhead Gang went to seek revenge from President Fearless, and guess what happened? His 2 arms and 3 legs were all broken by her. I heard she even ate his brain. President Fearless is simply a pervert who's freaking strong. I heard only piece of shit can suppress her in the entire independent state. Yi Wanwan. She finally saw the power of rumors for herself. How did she freaking turn into this kind of pervert who even ate the brain of the Ironhead Gang's boss? She freaking released him, okay? That's nothing. Some time ago, a super awesome senior brother accepted a SS rank mission to assassinate the president of the Martial Arts Union. Guess what happened? Never mind, don't bother. That president looks like he's only in his 20s and has a bewitching face, but he killed that senior brother in a few strikes. I was nearby and saw it myself. It scared me to death. Li Xian exclaimed. The Martial Arts Union's president? What does he look like? As something like, let me draw him for you guys. Li Xian took out a pen and paper and started drawing on the piece of paper. Everyone promptly evaluated the product upon finishing. This is... Yi Wanwan's brows furrowed as she stared at the portrait. The man in the portrait looked too similar to someone she knew. However, Yu Wanwan couldn't recall who it was for the time being. It was a pity that Li Xian's art skills were truly mediocre. Do you know? The major factions in the independent state are too messy. When worryless Nia from the Nia family went missing, she supposedly ran off to China with some wild man. Later, someone from the Nia family secretly sent assassins to China to kill her. Li Xian said, "Keep bragging. If something this major was real, all of the independent state would have known about it by now. How would you know?" A new mercenary snorted, "Bragging your grandma's ass. One of the assassins is a sworn brother of mine. He told me himself. He also said that woman seems to have lost her memories and can't remember who she is at all. She also got together with some wild man. Anyway, that's what happened." Li Xian exclaimed indignantly. "Haha, keep bullshitting. Worryless Nia returned a long time ago and she's back with the Nia family right now. That sworn brother of yours is probably nothing but gas and hot air too. Forget it if you don't believe it then." Li Xian found this conversation dull and didn't want to keep wasting his words. Li Xian's words sent shock shooting through Yu Wanwan though. Chapter 1595. Yu Wanwan pensively looked at Li Xian with a furrow of her brows. Li Xian said worryless Nia appeared in China after her disappearance, and someone from the Nia family sent assassins with the intention of eradicating her at the root. Typically speaking, you should take this kind of matter with a grain of salt, but Yu Wanwan was intrigued. "Li Xian, your sworn brother is an assassin?" Yu Wanwan nonchalantly asked him with a smile on her lips. Li Xian became eager upon hearing her interest and quickly turned to Yu Wanwan. "Yeah, I'm telling you, my brother graduated from Scarlet Flames Academy. He's awesome. But wait, worryless Nia is in the independent state right now, so why are you saying worryless Nia was in China and was hunted by mercenaries?" Yu Wanwan asked. "I don't know, that's what my brother said. It happened a long time ago, so maybe worryless Nia returned from China. Who knows?" Li Xian answered. "Isn't worryless Nia the pride of Scarlet Flames Academy? Your brother would dare to hunt worryless Nia down despite her martial arts skills?" Yu Wanwan looked skeptical. "Didn't I mention it earlier? Worryless Nia probably lost her memory. Anyway, that's the truth about her martial arts skills, but she had to rely on someone else to save her. If it weren't for someone saving her, she would have croaked her last breath already." Li Xian pursed his lips. A round of mocking laughter rang in the room again after Li Xian spoke. "Li family, I think both you and your brother are nothing but gas and hot air. Worryless Nia is the second miss of the Nia family. They would be scrambling to look for her, so why would they send someone to kill her?" Right. At the very least, even if someone from the Nia family harbored ulterior motives and hired your brother, why would they tell your brother the real identity of the target? Were they an idiot? Li Xian's face swiveled from ashen and livid. He sounded a bit angry as he impatiently shouted, Shoo shoo shoo. Who's my brother? Why would he lie to me? You're just ignorant, so get lost if you don't believe me. I don't want to tell you anyway. I know more secrets than you can imagine." "Ha ha, Li Xian, keep bragging. What other news do you have? Tell us." "Fine." Li Xian mysteriously looked at them. "You know how Lord Azura, Emperor Ji, and Bro Flattop are in the independent state?" "Nonsense, who doesn't know them?" Zhou Fu chortled. "I'm telling you, Emperor Ji and Lord Azura are actually a couple. Those two are lovers, and the one who was their matchmaker was President Fearless, Bro Flattop," Li Xian said. Another round of guffaws spread through the room. Fucking Big Dipper. He spread everything on the outside. Even a mercenary student knows about it now. Fine. Forget it if you don't believe it. Don't talk to me next time. I don't want to talk to you. Li Xian flicked his hand and turned around, lying on the bed before covering his head with his comforter. Yu Wanwan's mind was in turmoil. The amount of information Li Xian dumped on her was colossal. She needed to find a chance to examine it all. The next morning, everyone woke up early. After making up their beds, they all headed to the D-rank mercenary classroom. Yu Wanwan originally wanted to find Li Xian, and question him further about yesterday's information, but he was extremely fast and disappeared to the classroom in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1596, Yu Wanwan was forced to follow him. Li Xian, Yu Wanwan called out. Li Xian turned around and looked at her. What? Come sit next to me. Yu Wanwan smiled at him. To her surprise, this smile caused Li Xian to shiver and vehemently shake his head. Hurry, come here. No one is sitting here. Yu Wanwan pressed. No. It's fine, junior sister. I'm fine where I am. Li Xian replied. I want to ask you something. Yu Wanwan furrowed her brows. Junior sister, what could you possibly need to ask me? You can't possibly like me, right? Junior sister, I have someone I like, and my child can call me dad already. Li Xian hurriedly said. Yu Wanwan. Before Yu Wanwan could say anything more, an instructor entered the classroom. Today is the second day for many of our new students. I need to tell everyone some rules for the low-ranking mercenaries at Scarlet Flames Academy. The instructor swept his eyes over the classroom. D-rank mercenaries are issued 3 missions every month, but the rank of the mission doesn't have any restrictions. If you don't finish 3 missions, you will be expelled by Scarlet Flames Academy. Compulsive missions. Yu Wanwan looked pensive. Compulsive missions were directly issued to a person by the academy, and the person had to finish them and couldn't decline them. If they didn't finish them within the required time, it would be considered a failure. However, if they failed twice in a row or they purposefully didn't try to finish them, they'd be expelled from Scarlet Flames Academy. Your mission will be issued sometime soon, so make the necessary preparations, the instructor continued expressionlessly. About half an hour later, the Scarlet Flames instructor turned and left. Yu Wanwan stood up and marched toward Li Xian, grabbing his shoulder from behind. Why are you running? Why are you chasing me? Li Xian retorted. If you didn't run, why would I chase you? Yu Wanwan frowned deeply. If you didn't chase me, why would I run? Li Xian argued righteously. Fine, you win. I need you for respectable business. Yu Wanwan dragged Li Xian back to her seat. Junior sister. Seriously, don't look for me for respectable business. I'm not anyone respectable. You should find respectable people to do respectable business. Li Xian frantically shook his head. Stop blabbing. I have a mission to issue. Mission? Li Xian was startled, confused by her words. That's right. Yu Wanwan nodded with a grin. Didn't you say your brother graduated from Scarlet Flames Academy? Yeah, that's right. Li Xian nodded. Then help me call your brother here. I have a decently priced mission for your brother to do. Yu Wanwan said. What mission? What price? Li Xian was instantly interested. Don't ask too many questions. But you will also get a reward for calling him here. I'll give you this sum. Yu Wanwan extended 5 fingers out. 50,000. Li Xian exclaimed. However, Yu Wanwan shook her head. 5,000. Li Xian was puzzled. Yu Wanwan shook her head again. 500. No can do. I've never seen someone as stingy as you. Go find someone else. Li Xian lost interest immediately and turned to leave. I suddenly miss nameless Nya. Chapter 1597. 1597. Don't leave. Yu Wanwan grabbed Li Xian by his shoulder again. 5,000. 10,000. Li Xian countered. 8,000. Yu Wanwan frowned. Fine, 8,000 then. You have to give me 4,000 as down payment first. Li Xian agreed. Yu Wanwan had no choice but to transfer 4,000 to him via phone. Wait for my news. Li Xian then left with his phone in hand. Less than 10 minutes later, Li Xian returned and said, My brother agreed. He'll come over later. All right. Yu Wanwan smiled. It'd be easy as long as he came. Yu Wanwan didn't have a chance to say anything else before 3 people entered the classroom. These 3 people were all wearing yellow uniforms, signifying their statuses as C-rank mercenaries at Scarlet Flames Academy. Everyone was startled by the appearance of C-rank mercenaries. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Zhang Zunyan, a C-rank mercenary and also your senior. The man greeted with a light chuckle as his eyes swept over the room. Zhang Zunyan continued. You're new students, so you need more training. Hence, you'll be doing some of the trivial, menial missions the academy gave us. Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. Aren't they just here to freaking bully new students? What do you mean you'll give them to us? A new student coldly said. They're missions the school gave you, not us. Why should we help you do them? That's right. We have our own missions to do. It's not like you'll pay us to do missions for you. You come here. Zhang Zunyan smiled brightly and hooked his finger at the mercenary, doubting him. What? The new student walked forward. Slap. Zhang Zunyan didn't say anything. With a smile still on his face, he ruthlessly slapped the new student on the face. The crisp sound echoed in the room, and the new student spun in his spot from the force of the slap. You just came to the school, and you're only a new student, but you're already talking back to your seniors? Zhang Zunyan asked with a smile. Blood trickled out of the new student's lips, and he clutched his face but didn't dare to say anything more. Upon seeing no other questioning, Zhang Zunyan and his cohorts nodded with satisfaction. This is how it should be. New students should be afraid of hardship and should do more things within their capabilities and train themselves. This is for your own good. Senior brother is right. My sister and I absolutely agree with you. You should tell us whatever orders you have, senior brother, and we assure you will finish them. Zhou Tao and Zhou Fu walked in front of Zhang Zunyan and nodded cheerfully. Very good. Zhang Zunyan's lips curled up. How about this? You two performed well, so you'll help me monitor these people. You'll come and inform me about anyone who's disobedient and unwilling to do the missions. Understood? Zhou Tao and Zhou Fu became joyful. That's not a mission at all. It's too simple. It looks like Zhang Zunyan is feeling merciful after noticing our compliance. Understood. Don't worry, senior brother Zhang. We'll definitely accomplish our mission. Zhou Tao nodded frantically. As for the rest of you, Zhang Zunyan looked at everyone else and issued a handful of average difficulty D-rank daily missions. After becoming a C-rank mercenary, you had to finish daily missions every day, and some C-rank mercenaries would toss these missions to D-rank mercenaries. Most D-rank mercenaries wouldn't dare to object and would do as instructed. Chapter 1598. Nobody in the classroom dared to voice their anger, and they were forced to accept it. Senior brother, you haven't given her a mission yet. Zhou Fu said to Zhang Zunyan as he suddenly pointed at Yi Wanwan. And I've given out all the missions to them already. Zhang Zunyan pondered over it for a moment before saying to Yi Wanwan, Ugly woman, you're lucky. I don't have any mission for you, so you'll help us clean our room for a month. Every corner, including the toilet in the bathroom, needs to be spotless, or prepare for the consequences. I'll give you our room address in a moment. After Zhang Zunyan said that, the three C-rank mercenaries cheerfully ambled out of the D-rank classroom. Yi Wanwan looked like she didn't hear them at all, and was uninterested in even looking at them, so she didn't pay attention to what Zhang Zunyan said. Blah. They want me to do missions for them? I have so many brothers protecting me. Do they think I'm easy prey? They should look up who my brother is first. Li Xian sneered with a snort. Zhou Tao and Zhou Fu both didn't dare to provoke Li Xian, since he did have a few brothers at Scarlet Flames Academy, who would dare to monitor him. Listen well. Remember the mission senior brother Zhang just issued, or else you'll pay for the consequences yourself. I'm just reminding you out of kindness, Zhou Tao said while running his eyes over everyone in the room. And you, Yi Wanwan, remember to clean their room thoroughly. Even the bathroom has to look brand new. Zhou Fu coldly said to the nonchalant-looking Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan didn't respond, as though she was immersed in her own world. Before Zhou Fu could say anything else, Li Xian's phone started ringing. Li Xian took the call immediately. What? Brother, you're here already? So quickly? Where? Oh, the cafe behind Scarlet Flames Academy. Okay, I know, I'll tell her. Li Xian hung up and turned to Yi Wanwan. My brother is here. Yi Wanwan stood up instantly and followed Li Xian out of the classroom. A moment later, The duo arrived at a cafe near Scarlet Flames Academy. This cafe was built by eldest young Master Shin near Scarlet Flames Academy, so that he could have a convenient place to drink coffee. The prices were extremely expensive, so it was normally empty. After entering the cafe, Yi Wanwan followed Li Xian to a private room. A young man was sitting in the chief seat in the room. Yi Wanwan was surprised upon seeing the man. This man was one of Li Xian's older brothers. However, Yi Wanwan found this brother very familiar looking. I think he was amongst the group of mysterious people who tried to kill me back in China. Thankfully, she was rescued by that enigmatic white-haired man, or the consequences would have been too horrible to contemplate. You're here. The man looked at Li Xian and Yi Wanwan with a smile. Have a seat. Yi Wanwan and Li Xian sat down across from the man. Brother, this is my junior sister. She said she has a mission to issue and it's a good price, so she wanted to talk to you, Li Xian said to the man. The man examined Yi Wanwan and aloofly said, Junior sister, my price isn't cheap. Yi Wanwan gathered her emotions and smiled faintly. Money isn't a problem. As long as you can finish the mission I give you, you can list whatever price you want. Chapter 1599. List whatever I want. The man's eyes glinted. The people who entered a mercenary academy either lacked money, or did it for fame and status. That wasn't to say that every mercenary did their work to earn money. For example, a money god like eldest young Master Shin was also at Scarlet Flames Academy, and it would be a ridiculous joke if someone claimed eldest young Master Shin acted as a mercenary for money. In other words, the woman in front of him didn't have a simple background. At least she didn't lack money. Alright, then we can start our discussion. Tell me your mission rank first. If it's too high, I might not be able to finish it alone and need to find more people. The aloofness faded from the man's face, and was replaced by a faint smile. S rank, Yi Wanwan replied. S rank. The man frowned slightly. A S rank mission was too high in difficulty. Tell me the specifics first. Based on the mission's level alone, I can't take on a S-rank mission by myself, and you might not be able to pay the price, the man said. I want Worryless Nia's head. Yi Wanwan stared at the man, a bewitching smile turning up on her face. What? The man was stunned. Are you saying you want to kill Worryless Nia? Even Li Xian next to her jolted in fright. Kill Worryless Nia? She's kidding, right? What? Are you too afraid to do it? Yi Wanwan pursed her lips. Li Xian was bragging to me about how awesome you are, but it looks like you're not up to scratch. How disappointing. Yi Wanwan shook her head and stood up, preparing to leave. Upon seeing Yi Wanwan's departure, the man considered it for a moment before quickly saying, Junior sister, I didn't say I didn't dare to accept it. Yi Wanwan halted and returned to her seat. So you can accept it then? Head junior sister. Just who are you? Do you know the price of a S-rank mission? The man chuckled and imperceptibly observed Yi Wanwan. I remember saying that money isn't a problem, Yi Wanwan replied. Then why should I believe you? The man asked. Yi Wanwan looked at Li Xian. Li Xian, leave the room and keep guard for junior sister and me. Don't allow anyone to approach us, the man said. Oh, I'm all right. Li Xian nodded and had no choice but to leave. After Li Xian left, the man turned to Yi Wanwan. Junior sister, unless you have a proof of identity, I can't accept a S-rank mission. Then is Bro Flat Top's identity enough? Yi Wanwan chuckled coolly. Bro Flat Top. The man murmured pensively. What did you say? The man shot up and stared at her in disbelief. This woman is saying, she's Bro Flat Top. Which Bro Flat Top? The man reflexively asked. Are there a lot of Bro Flat Tops in the independent state? Yi Wanwan snorted. You're saying the Fearless Alliance's Bro Flat Top, by phone? The man intently stared at her. I'm by phone, Yi Wanwan confirmed. Why should I believe you when you say you're by phone? Do you know anyone from the Fearless Alliance? Yi Wanwan asked him. Yes, 7 Star and Big Dipper. I've seen them a few times, the man replied after a moment of thought. Since he knew people, this was easy to resolve. Chapter 1600. 1600 Yi 11 video called Big Dipper immediately. Sisfeng, why did you suddenly video call me? How are you doing at Scarlet Flames Academy? Big Dipper was surprised by the sight of Yi Wanwan. The man slowly walked behind Yi Wanwan, and his expression changed as soon as he saw Big Dipper on the screen. Nothing, just wanted to see you, Yi Wanwan responded. Sisfeng, when are you coming back? Without you at the Fearless Alliance, First Elder and Third Elder are arguing non-stop every day. Big Dipper asked with irritation. I'll be back soon. See you later then. Yi Wanwan hung up the video call. After Yi Wanwan disconnected the call, she turned to the man. So will you accept the mission? You, President Bai, with your esteemed status, why would you hire a mercenary? The man returned to his seat, still in disbelief. What? I can't hire a mercenary? Yi Wanwan asked with a smile. Of course not. The man shook his head. The Fearless Alliance has many strong members. Of course, there are some things that aren't proper for the Fearless Alliance to do themselves, so they need mercenaries to resolve them on their behalf. Earlier, the Nye family. Yi Wanwan's eyes sparkled. That was what she wanted to know. However, the man seemed to have sensed something and hastily broke off, not saying anything more. President Bai, please tell me whatever you need, the man smiled. Also, don't worry about the confidentiality. A mercenary's most basic requirement is to keep their employer's information confidential. There's no way we would leak any information, even if that means our death. Yi Wanwan thoroughly believed in this point. Typically speaking, if a mercenary revealed their employer's information, they wouldn't have a home in the mercenary world anymore. Not only would they wreck their future, but they might also invoke destructive revenge and an attack from their employer. Hence, most mercenaries wouldn't reveal any information about their employers, even if they had to die. I said I want worryless Nye's head. As long as you can succeed, money isn't a problem, Yi Wanwan repeated. I believe that, of course, President Bai. With the Fearless Alliance's finances, the price of a S-rank mission is just an appetizer. The man nodded but looked a bit hesitant. However, President Bai, this mission isn't easy to do. President Bai should know that worryless Nye disappeared for many years, and even the Nye family can't find her. Nonsense. Yi Wanwan glanced at him. Isn't worryless Nye with the Nye family right now? The man was stuck between a rock and a hard place. The worryless Nye with the Nye family right now wasn't the true worryless Nye. They previously accepted a mission from the Nye family, and were led by a confidant of Nye Linglong to China to kill the real worryless Nye. However, worryless Nye ended up being rescued by a white-haired man. Hence, it went without thinking that the worryless Nye in the Nye family absolutely wasn't the real one. Does President Bai want to kill the worryless Nye with the Nye family, or the missing worryless Nye? The man cautiously asked. What do you mean? Yi Wanwan asked coldly. President Bai, I can't divulge other information. Allow me to ask you though, when did your dispute with worryless Nye occur? The man inquired. Many years ago. Yi Wanwan fibbed after a moment of thought. Many years ago, so that's the real worryless Nye then, the man thought inwardly. President Fearless wanted him to kill the real worryless Nye, so it definitely wouldn't do if he killed the fake one. Moreover, what kind of place was the Nye residence? It was impossible for him to go to the Nye residence to kill someone. That was the same as asking for death. Chapter 1601 President Bai, to be truthful, I suspect the worryless Nye in the Nye residence right now is a fake, the man said with a frown. The true worryless Nye is actually in China. Aside from President Bai, there was also another employer who hired us to kill worryless Nye. Another employer? Who? Worryless Nye has quite a number of enemies, Yi Wanwan said nonchalantly. This. President Bai, I'm truly sorry, but us mercenaries can't reveal our employer's information, so I can't say anything. Otherwise I could sell a past employer today, and I could sell you President Bai tomorrow. I believe President Bai will understand. Truthfully, Yi Wanwan could understand the story roughly without the man saying anything more. And I understand. What happened later on? Yu Wanwan pursued. That worryless Nye seems to have lost her memory. But even so, we weren't successful in our trip in China because worryless Nye was rescued by someone else. How do you know you were hunting worryless Nye? Yu Wanwan continued to probe. If Nye Linglong was really the mastermind, why would she be dumb enough to tell mercenaries they were going to China to kill worryless Nye? Wasn't she be afraid of this matter being exposed? If Yu Wanwan was Nye Linglong, she wouldn't have divulged the target's identity. The employer didn't tell us to go kill worryless Nye, but the employer had their subordinate go with us. When the subordinate saw the target back then, they blurted out the name, worryless Nye. I was standing rather close to them, so I was the only one who heard them, the man quietly explained. Yu Wanwan nodded. This man didn't look like he was lying. What were the results? Yu Wanwan asked. The result was, worryless Nye was rescued by someone else. The man truthfully answered. Oh, there's someone in China who could tie your hands? That's unrealistic, no? Yu Wanwan snorted. It's a long story. That man had long silver-white hair and terrifying martial arts skills. He also carried a gun. Yu Wanwan's expression abruptly shifted. A man's silver-white hair used a gun. Isn't that? The events of a certain night surfaced in Yu Wanwan's mind. She was driving in China and hit a man with long, silver hair. The front of the car was dented, but not a hair on the man was harmed. Later, she was ambushed by an assassination attempt from a group of mysterious people. And it was that man who pulled out a gun and repelled those mysterious assassins. Yet, this man who participated in the assassination attempt that night was saying their target was worryless Nye. A turbulent storm raged through Yu Wanwan's mind. Based on the implicit meaning of this man's words, she was worryless Nye. No matter how she thought about it, she couldn't figure out her relationship with worryless Nye. However, if she was the real worryless Nye, then everything could be explained. If she was worryless Nye, then it was reasonable for those mysterious assassins to try to kill her in China. Those assassins were connected with Nye Linglong, because Nye Linglong sent mercenaries to China after learning about her identity and whereabouts. What Yu Wanwan didn't understand was how Nye Linglong learned about her identity and whereabouts. Alright, I understand. I'll investigate the matter clearly first before deciding. Yu Wanwan aloofly said while looking at the man after trying to calm down as much as she could. Chapter 1602. Then I'll wait until President Bai is done investigating. President Bai can contact me at any time if the need arises, the man said with a smile as he stood up. The man didn't truly care whether this deal went through or not, since being able to acquaint himself with the president of the Fearless Alliance, by phone, was far more important than the outcome of this deal. Yes. I hope there won't be a third person who learns of our conversation today, Yu Wanwan said meaningfully. The man nodded frantically. Don't worry, President Bai. I naturally understand this. I won't divulge today's matters, even at the risk of my death. After the man left, Li Xian ran inside, brimming with curiosity. He didn't know what kind of mission Yu Wanwan issued. However, Yu Wanwan left the cafe already. In a corner of Scarlet Flame's academy, Yu Wanwan was sitting on a bench with a deep frown. This news was too sudden for her. She didn't expect it at all. If she really was worryless Nye, then wasn't Madame Nye her biological mother and nameless Nye her biological brother? Yu Wanwan's expression shifted. That means Tang Tang is my biological son. If my hypothesis is correct and I'm worryless Nye, then who's Tang Tang's father? Yu Wanwan's mind was an utter mess. After trying her best to smooth out her emotions, Yu Wanwan took a deep breath. She felt like something was still amiss. She could accept that her real identity was President Fearless, by phone. But if she was worryless Nye, it was a bit unimaginable. Based on the timeline she conjectured, worryless Nye went missing at the same time as President Fearless, by phone. Then could it be possible that worryless Nye had a second identity as by phone? The logic didn't flow smoothly, but Yu Wanwan couldn't come up with a different hypothesis for the time being. While Yu Wanwan fretted about a lack of leads, a thought flashed through her mind. First Elder obtained a handful of machines that could conduct DNA testing. How about she tested her DNA with Tongtong's DNA? If their DNA matched, Yi Wanwan didn't think this outcome was possible, but it was worth a shot. If it didn't match, she could eliminate the possibility of her connection with worryless Nya. Yi Wanwan dialed 7 stars number. Sis Feng, 7 stars voice rang. Is the equipment that first elder gathered earlier still there? Yi Wanwan asked frankly. Is Sis Feng referring to the testing equipment? 7 star asked. Yes, the testing equipment. It's still here. Alright, tell first elder that he must keep the equipment, and ask him if there are any leftover samples from last time. Also, come pick me up from Scarlet Flames Academy in the next 2 days. Okay, understood. 7 star was a bit confused and didn't understand what Yi Wanwan wanted to do, but he wouldn't pursue the matter. After hanging up, Yi Wanwan stood up and headed for the D-rank classroom. You're finally back, Zhou Tao said with displeasure as soon as Yi Wanwan entered the classroom. What is it? Yi Wanwan indifferently glanced at him. What is it? Zhou Fu snorted. Yi Wanwan, senior brother Zhang Zwenyan told you to clean their dorm room earlier. Have you cleaned it yet? Yi Wanwan shook her head in exasperation and returned to her seat. She truly was too lazy to pay attention to these two. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.